Hey guys, welcome back to today's video. It's UEP here, and this is it's time to talk about the Iowa race. So, uh, if you haven't noticed, I'm basically skipping over all the races that aren't important, basically those that aren't contested, and I did skip over both of Georgia's races, and don't get me wrong, they could flip to the Democrats, but like honestly, they're probably not going to, due to multiple factors. Uh, kind of like kind of how I could talk about maybe uh mm, like New Hampshire flipping to the Republicans. It's probably not going to happen. Although like that's actually unfair to the Democrats in Georgia, mostly because Ossoff has a chance. Special election, not really, but Ossoff does have a chance in the other one. Anyways, so also there's going to be voter suppression, so we're not going to really have a fair election there. But we're going to be talking about uh, the the why am I forgetting? Okay, we're going to talk about the Iowa Senate race. So before we get started, I do want to thank Eureka for sponsoring this video. They are a great tool to use if you want to get your big idea hit off the ground and known to your community. So yeah, also I do have a Patreon. There's a Discord in the description, and yeah. So yeah, so we're gonna get right into this. That was kind of a long preamble, but essentially, this race I did not think look was gonna be super competitive. I rate as likely Republican. Um, look when I started this channel, and since then a lot has changed because Iowa is at this point, in my opinion, a tilt Republican state. Spoiler alert: I think Joni Ernst is gonna win. But first, I'm gonna talk about why it'll be close. So I feel like most people rate Iowa as the lean for the Republicans, and I believe if we it's already here. My bad. So if we go to predictions, most rate it as lean for the Republicans, if not toss up. I don't do toss up, but if we go, like 3 months ago, this was filled with leans and likelies for the for the GOP. But the country has shifted towards the left, and that helps down ballot Democratic candidates like Theresa Greenfield. So Theresa Greenfield, in my opinion, is not the strongest candidate running for Senate in Iowa. She's not weak, but I believe Mike Franken, this guy, would have been stronger. That's him. I believe he would have been stronger. So yeah, but anyways, Greenfield is the nominee, and she has a pretty good shot at beating Joni Ernst. So according to the JHK forecast, she has a 43% chance of beating Ernst. Now, if you remember, Ernst had a very big lead here. She had 70% chance of winning. Greenfield has made the gap a lot more narrow. And yeah, so the polling does have Greenfield ahead if we look at the polling, but it is for the most part within the margin of error, and they're very small leads, like 2, 3, 3. And there was one done in May that had Ernst ahead by 1. I only look at the polls from 2020, and all the A plus rated polls have been ahead by 3. Let's go to B. Greenfield ahead pretty consistently. So the polling does put Greenfield ahead, but within the margin of error. Plus, in 2018, the polling put Fred Hubble, the Democrat governor candidate, they put him ahead by 3 or 4 points consistently. So Iowa polling hasn't been great, especially because, especially in the midterms, polling was spot on all across the country in the midterms. Iowa was not a very good place for polling. But anyways, so JHK forecast gives Iowa a 43% chance of flipping to Greenfield. My model gives it a 45% chance of flipping to Greenfield, so we essentially agree that she has a very good chance, but it is still the underdog. So, let's talk about how this could flip to Greenfield. So first of all, what's interesting is that JHK forecasts in the president, they gave Joe Biden a 53.2% chance of winning that. I don't think that's true. I strongly disagree with that. Because at this point, Iowa is just trending very far to the right. Democrats couldn't win the governor's race there in the midterms, so that was interesting to see because Fred Hubble was a pretty strong candidate generally. I also do want to mention that that they in 2016, if I can pull that up, Donald Trump ate Hillary Clinton alive in Iowa, and she lost a lot of the counties that Obama he won. A lot of these counties, especially in the northeast, that Clinton didn't do too great here. So, yeah. Now, that's the good news for Ernst. The good news for Greenfield is that she has a good chance. Democrats are starting to invest money in this race, and Ernst is pretty unpopular. She only has 37% approval rating and 42% disapproval rating. Plus, she has been consistently fading. Um, she's really popular back in 2017 when Trump was first elected, but since then she's been doing very poorly, especially with independents, which could kill her in the end. Also, Democrats have won Iowa before. In 2012, they won it by a lead margin, actually. In 2008, they won it by a likely margin, which is very interesting. 2004, they barely lost it with John Kerry. But again, even they lost it by 9,000 votes, and or actually 10,000. But in 2000, the year Al Gore lost the election, he still won this barely over George W. Bush, though again, admittedly, it was 4,000 votes. So we're talking about, generally speaking, a state that in the past 5 years has went for Democrats 3 times and the GOP twice. So it is a swing state, but it is definitely trending towards the GOP, especially because in 2016 at the Senate level, they reelected Chuck Grassley in overwhelming numbers, and they elected Donald Trump. Now, Chuck Grassley is a popular senator from there who she was the favorite to win re-election, and his opponent, to be honest, didn't really stand a chance. But again, Iowa is trending to the right, mostly because it is a very rural state, and the rural regions were always pretty red, but Democrats have lost that appeal that Bill Clinton had. In They don't have that anymore, for the most part. Joe Biden does kind of bring some of that back, but again, he's not Bill Clinton. Okay, so Iowa currently, according to Civics, has a -7%. Donald Trump has a -7% net approval there, which is not great. But again, we're talking about a state that did go for Donald Trump overall by 9 points in 2016. Now, Donald Trump has actually fallen in approval generally since 2016, but I'm going to be honest. I like to look at the polls and the approval rating because Joni Ernst is going to be on the same ballot as Trump under the same banner, and she's going to sink or swim with the president. And if he loses Iowa, you can bet that Joni Ernst is losing because I expect Theresa Greenfield to outperform Joe Biden. Now, Biden is a stronger candidate for Iowa, but remember, Theresa Greenfield has a lot of money being donated to her, and she only has to focus on one state, on a pretty small state. Joe Biden has to focus on the whole nation in running a huge campaign against Donald Trump. So, yeah, there is also even more good news for Greenfield, and that's that like Ernst is unpopular. Donald Trump is unpopular in Iowa. JHK forecast actually it gives Biden a good shot at winning there, and the polling has her generally ahead. However, Joni Ernst, she's tricky to analyze because I'm kind of saying a lot, and I don't like to do that, but okay, I just did it again. So Nueva, what did I just say? Nueva. What was I thinking? I have no idea what I just said. I was thinking of something else. Okay, that means new in Spanish. I don't even know why. That was so random. Okay. So, Ernst isn't popular, but she is very, very, very tough to analyze because, for the most part, she was elected in 2014 by a pretty big margin in a red wave year over Bruce Braley, and I believe he was a former state representative from Iowa. I may be wrong. He was not. He was a U.S. representative. So, anyways, Ernst, Tom Harkin was the popular Democratic incumbent, kind of like their version of Chuck Grassley. He retired, and this seat flipped to the Democrats, or to the Republicans. And Greenfield is a chance, but I really don't honestly. This is a red state that'll probably go for Donald Trump in the presidential election. And look, I'm gonna be real with you guys. Theresa Greenfield is not the strongest candidate to run. I say this because she's too establishment type, and yeah, her slogan is slogan. I am saying so much random stuff today. Slogan is, I'm a farm girl with farm girl values, but she's running a pretty establishment Democratic type campaign in a state like Iowa that doesn't tend to love to establishment candidates. Now, let's look at the results. In 2016, not 2020. Okay. In 2016, Donald Trump, he won here by, almost 10 points. That's very good. Against the very establishment type Hillary Clinton. 2012, Obama beat the establishment type Mitt Romney. In 2008, that was just a very bad year for the GOP all around, so they weren't going to win. 2004, both these candidates are establishment, and it was close, but Bush beat Kerry. And then 2000, Gore is pretty establishment, but less so than Bush. Okay, Discord is giving me notifications. We're going to ignore that for right now, but the point is, Iowa and the Midwest in general doesn't like establishment type candidates. This is going to hurt Greenfield, and yes, Ernst is part of the establishment, but she's the incumbent. This is a red state, and I know people say it's a swing state, and it kind of is, but this is going to go to Donald Trump by probably a lean margin, maybe tilt, maybe even likely anywhere from tilt to lean for Trump. I mean, maybe it'll go for Biden, but I'll be very, very surprised if it does go blue on election night. However, Greenfield is going to outperform Biden in Iowa, probably by like only 1% or even less. But we're still going to see this state coming close to flipping, but not flipping because this is a very rural state, and it is trending to the right, and the GOP is only gaining ground here, or the Democrats are losing it. In fact, the DNC, I think they've already written it off for the election, so that's not good news for them, but Greenfield does have a chance. So overall, Theresa Greenfield has a chance, but I don't think that we're going to see her be the next United States Senator from Iowa. So thanks for watching this video. I know I said a lot, and I actually don't have a ton of, actually, I'm not super proud of this video, but I'm going to post it because I want to analyze Iowa. But overall, this concludes that Democrats, they flipped 2 House seats. That was Abby Finkenauer's district, and I believe Cindy Axne's district, who are both not really establishment type candidates, whereas Greenfield is. So, could Greenfield win? Yes, she can, and I think that of all the seats that I characterize as red, she definitely has the best chance. Ossoff has a chance in Georgia, and maybe it's possible that we see Texas flipping, and it's possible that we see Kentucky flipping, but Iowa is probably the best shot for Democrats, other than Montana, Kansas, and North Carolina and Maine. So yeah, thanks for watching. I do have a Patreon, so you can support me. I already mentioned that though, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye, guys.